My mother-in-law scrutinized the allergy test results with a piercing gaze. As soon as she confirmed our child's blood type, she erupted, "This is outrageous. This child can't be our son's. We all share the same blood type." She crumpled the test results in a fit of rage and hurled them to the floor. "I had my suspicions ever since you announced your pregnancy. You tricked our son into this." Calmly, I picked up the crumpled paper from the floor and examined it. Then I looked up and said, "Yes, mother-in-law, he's not your son's child. My name is Kay Forrester, 34 years old. I live with my husband, Jake, in a rented apartment in New York. Our relationship began as a workplace romance, and despite his busy schedule, Jake is a kind husband who actively helps with household chores. Even today, when I came home, Jake had washed the frying pan and dishes from breakfast." "Welcome back. Try not to push yourself too hard with the overtime. You won't be able to handle it, okay?" he said. "I'm home," I replied. "Yeah, I know. But I can't just ignore it. I can't help it." While changing into my loungewear in the bedroom, I caught a whiff of a delicious aroma wafting from the kitchen. Tonight's dinner was my favorite, Jake's special fried chicken. I grabbed a can of beer from the fridge and noticed a big circle around the 10th on the calendar. "Oh, I completely forgot. Next Friday is our 7th wedding anniversary. Let's go out for dinner. I feel like having French for a change." "I thought you might say that. I've already made a reservation at a French restaurant in Manhattan," Jake replied. "Really? Thank you. I'm so excited." As I savored a mouthful of fried chicken, I found myself reflecting deeply on the 7 years that had passed since our wedding. We still don't have children. I had always thought that pregnancy would naturally follow marriage, but even after 1 year, 2 years, it didn't happen. My sister, who married 4 years after me, now has 2 kids, and my friends seem to be getting pregnant one after another. In the early years, I wasn't desperate and could genuinely celebrate the pregnancy announcements of those close to me. But now, even hearing about celebrities' pregnancies stings. I despise this part of myself that can't wholeheartedly rejoice in others' happiness. Why won't we have a baby? My mobile search history was filled with keywords about pregnancy. Whenever I had a moment to myself, my thoughts would inevitably turn to having a baby. My mother-in-law only added to the stress. It seems the concept of taboo is foreign to her. She barged into our apartment the other day, making sarcastic comments about our childlessness and suggesting divorce. "So, when are you planning to get pregnant?" "I'm tired of waiting," she demanded. "Well, this isn't something we can control. I'm doing my best, you know," I responded. "Don't you feel sorry for Jake because he can't become a father?" "Actually, I also want to see Jake become a father soon. If you really feel that way, why don't you divorce him? I believe there's someone more suitable for Jake. If he marries a healthy woman who can bear children, he'd become a father in no time," she retorted. Her words stung, and though I tried to stay calm, the frustration and sadness were overwhelming. Facing such harsh words with a straight face, I managed to get by all this time thanks to Jake and my father-in-law. They've always stood up for me, often appearing more exasperated with my mother-in-law's obsession with wanting grandchildren than I was. To maintain my peace, I kept a safe distance from her, avoiding unnecessary contact and only acknowledging her on Mother's Day and her birthday. One night, as usual, Jake and I were watching TV after dinner. I had been feeling a little feverish since morning, so I decided to check my temperature. It was slightly elevated at 99.5 degrees Fahrenheit. I often feel under the weather before my period, but when I checked my period tracking app, I realized my period was late this month. Hurriedly, I retrieved a pregnancy test from the bathroom cabinet. To my surprise, it showed 2 distinct lines indicating a positive result. "Jake, look at this," I said, holding up the test. "What does this mean?" he asked, eyes wide. "It means I'm pregnant," I replied, smile spreading across my face. "We're finally going to have a baby." Overwhelmed with joy, I burst into tears on the spot, reflecting on how much time and money we had spent to reach this moment. After verifying the pregnancy test result multiple times, Jake hugged me tightly. "Thank you for giving up alcohol, smoking, and going to the sauna. Starting today, you're free to enjoy them again." "Nah, compared to the effort you've put in, my sacrifices are nothing. I'll hold off on the drinks until after you've safely given birth." "I'm already looking forward to that celebratory drink," Jake replied with a smile. A few days later, we visited the gynecologist, where the pregnancy was confirmed. "There's a baby in my belly," I marveled, experiencing the strange yet warm feeling for the first time. I didn't care about the baby's gender. I just wish for it to be born healthy. I can still vividly recall the moment when I first felt my child's movement in my womb. Every day, Jake would touch my belly and talk to her baby. Hey, it's Daddy. Can't wait to meet you. Hey, no, it's too early for you to be born. I'd remind him playfully. Right, my bad. You need to stay in the belly a little longer, he'd respond, laughing. Now, as I enter my 8th month of pregnancy, I feel a mixture of anticipation and excitement. I started my maternity leave and settled into a leisurely routine. One day, while watching a movie with Jake at home, I felt a sudden, rapid soaking sensation accompanied by a popping sound. I instantly realized my water had broken. I called the general hospital where I was scheduled to give birth, and they instructed us to come in immediately. We rushed there by taxi, my excitement outweighing any nervousness. I was finally about to meet my child. Upon arriving at the hospital, labor pains began, marking the start of a long and arduous process. Hours passed without the baby descending, and I reached my physical and mental limits. My screams echoed through the hospital. I can't do this anymore. It hurts. It hurts. 15 minutes later, our baby finally arrived. You did well, Jake said, tears streaming down his face as he patted my head. He's adorable, our baby. The newborn baby was so tiny and fragile that I felt I might break it if I touched it. It was the most precious sight I had ever seen. Just a moment ago, this little one was inside my belly. As I held my baby's tiny, soft finger, a tear rolled down my cheek. I was certain I could do anything for this child. Despite being born prematurely due to my water breaking early and having a low birth weight, our child grew healthily. Time flew by, and before we knew it, it was time to prepare for preschool. Hey, how about going to the shopping center next Saturday? We need to start buying stuff for preschool, I suggested. What do we need to get? Jake asked. You know, a backpack, water bottle, lunchbox, that sort of stuff, I replied. Don't they serve lunch at the preschool? He inquired. I think it depends on the place, right? Shouldn't we get an allergy test done before starting preschool? Huh? But we'll be packing lunch, right? Yes, but they provide snacks at preschool. Both of us have food allergies, don't we? We need to check if that has been passed on. You're right, it's a concern. Yeah, let's take our child for an allergy test soon. The following week, we took our child to the hospital for an allergy test. There was a section of the questionnaire asking if we wanted to check the blood type as well. Since the blood type check was free, we decided to go for it. The test results will be sent to us by email later. The world has indeed become very convenient. A few days later, when I returned from shopping, there was an envelope in our mailbox. The allergy test results had arrived. After washing my hands, I immediately opened the envelope to check the results. As expected, our child has a few food allergies. I felt a bit guilty about this, but it's okay. Jake and I have learned a lot about managing food allergies. There are many alternative and allergy-friendly foods available, and some children's allergic reactions lessen as they grow. I put the test results on the refrigerator door with a magnet so Jake could check them later. All right, I think I'll start preparing dinner, I said to myself. As I put away the groceries, the doorbell rang. Checking the footage of the front porch, I found my in-laws standing there unexpectedly. Frustrated by their unannounced visit, I opened the front door. Hello, father-in-law, mother-in-law. It's been a while. Okay, we're sorry for dropping by unannounced. I told Lisa that we should have informed you in advance, my father-in-law said. We don't need to inform anyone when visiting our own son's house. Now, please let us see our grandchild, my mother-in-law declared, barging in and spreading out the children's clothes and toys she was holding all over the living room. All high-end stuff, she noted. My mother-in-law is a brand fanatic, the complete opposite of me, as I have no interest in luxury brands. I started boiling water to make tea for my in-laws. Wait a minute, Kay, what are you doing? My mother-in-law asked. Oh, I'm just about to serve tea. Please wait a moment, I replied. I don't want to drink such cheap tea. Don't you have any other beverages? My mother-in-law said, striding confidently over to the fridge. But then she froze in front of it, her gaze fixed on the paper stuck to its surface. What's this? Oh, we thought of having an allergy test done before our child starts preschool, I explained. That's not what I meant. I'm talking about this blood type, she insisted. Ha! I followed her gaze to the blood type next to her child's name. It read type A. My mother-in-law's face turned beet red as she started yelling at me. Okay, you are the worst. Calm down, please, mother-in-law, I urged, trying to diffuse the tension. How can I stay calm? This is not our son's child. All of us are type O. With a burst of anger, my mother-in-law crumpled up the test results paper and threw it on the floor. I knew something was off when you announced your pregnancy. Okay, you cheated. I want you to divorce Jake. Of course, we'll be seeking compensation. I calmly picked up the crumpled test result paper from the floor, and then I was certain of something. Actually, mother-in-law, it's the other way around. Jake is not your son. Jake has type O blood. Upon hearing this, my mother-in-law became enraged, claiming it was impossible because both she and my father-in-law have type O blood, accusing me of lying. She insisted that their son should also have type O blood as per what she heard at the time of his birth. My mother-in-law wasn't aware that a newborn's blood type is not reliable and can change as they grow. Here's the proof, I said, seizing the moment to show her a piece of paper. It was the results of a blood test that my husband Jake had taken as part of our infertility treatment. His blood type unmistakably was A. Seeing this, my mother-in-law turned pale and silently sat down on a chair. She began to sweat coldly, obviously rattled. My usually quiet father-in-law spoke up. What does this mean, Lisa? There's a reason behind this. A reason? Are you going to make excuses? Stop messing around. This was the first time I'd seen my father-in-law explode with such anger. I quickly told my child to go into the other room. Even if they couldn't understand yet, I didn't want them hearing this messy conversation. After a few minutes of tense silence, my mother-in-law, seemingly resigned, started to tell the truth through her tears. It was a revelation that dated back 30 years. Early in their marriage, my father-in-law often embarked on long business trips abroad, a necessity of his job in a trading company. Despite the circumstances, he had no choice but to accept these assignments. Meanwhile, my mother-in-law, feeling isolated after moving away from her hometown and lacking nearby friends, found solace in an affair born of loneliness. Shockingly, that other man was a junior colleague my father-in-law held in high regard. It was a revelation that shattered the illusion of our family's history. Jake, unwittingly at the center of it all, was the child born from the affair between my mother-in-law and her lover. How would Jake react to this bombshell? My worry for him consumed me. Yet to my surprise, Jake seemed oddly unfazed by the news. He never verbalized it, but his calm demeanor suggested he may have known the truth all along, perhaps from the subtle clues that hinted at his non-biological connection to his parents. Since the day the shocking truth was revealed, I haven't crossed paths with my mother-in-law at all. There was one email from her, but I deleted it without a second thought. Later, my father-in-law, understandably outraged by the decades-long deception, presented divorce papers to my mother-in-law. It was a necessary step. With her history of infidelity, my mother-in-law had no grounds to refuse, and the divorce was finalized smoothly. My mother-in-law, who had lived a life of luxury as a stay-at-home wife fully dependent on my father-in-law, now seems to be grappling with the reality of making ends meet. I wonder if she's considering finding employment. I ponder if there's a place where she can start working. Well, it's none of my business. When I think about what my mother-in-law did to my father-in-law and the hurtful words she directed at me, there's no room for sympathy. On the bright side, the relationship between my father-in-law and my husband Jake is still strong. It was all my mother-in-law's doing, and Jake is blameless. Even without a biological tie, after 30 years of raising him, he's truly my son, my father-in-law assured Jake. Despite the divorce from my mother-in-law, my father-in-law continues to show kindness not only to Jake but also to me and our child. He takes us out to eat once a month and even brings back souvenirs from his trips for us. Previously, I used to wake up in the morning dreading what unpleasantness the day would bring. But now, I wake up with anticipation, wondering what wonderful things will happen. My world is beginning to brighten. Another new day unfolds. Today, as I wake up, my husband and child prepare breakfast, pack lunches, and change clothes. There's so much to do. Surrounded by my beloved family, I am genuinely happy.